Hello there, I'm Nathalia Melo, your unfiltered fit BFF. Mom of two turned CEO of a fitness empire. Someone who truly understands the struggles of trying to stay fit, sane, and sexy, all while juggling work, life, and motherhood. And this is the Unfiltered Fit Life podcast. Follow along wherever you're listening and join me weekly as I help busy working moms just like you simplify your fitness journey so you can lose fat, regain your confidence, and feel sexy AF. It's time to stop living in the what ifs and hiding from the cameras. It's time to regain control over your body, feel sexy naked, and wear a bikini confidently. People already see you as a super confident woman, but it's time for you to feel the same way too. Come on, let's go. Hello there, fam. Welcome to another episode of the Unfiltered Fit Life podcast. I'm Nathalia Melo, your host. And I just want to start today's episode with showing my incredible, huge gratitude for every single one of you who are here listening, sharing this podcast, something that resonates with you. You're sharing it with your friends. You're sharing it with somebody who you know that is going to benefit. And you are showing up here consistently to listen. And I will absolutely never take this for granted. I was actually looking at our analytics in the back end. Our downloads have more than doubled in less than a year. The data says that most podcasts do not go over 7 episodes. There is like a graveyard of podcasts. And I can see why. In the beginning, it is hard. It is, a lot of work in the front end and you feel like nobody's listening to you. But I knew in my heart that if one person listened and that one person had their lives changed by the message in this podcast, my job here was done. And I am so happy and grateful for every single one of you for being here and for showing that there is value in the information that I'm providing here, and that this is not for me, this is for us. So this podcast is not my success. It is our success because I would not be able to do this without you on the other side, with your ears, with your time. I know that time is a very limited resource for so many people. So the fact that you're listening and that you are giving me 30 minutes to an hour of your week, I don't take that for granted. So I just wanted to say thank you very much. Keep on leaving the reviews. This is our Unfiltered Fit Life podcast. It is not the Nathalia's Unfiltered Fit Life podcast. So I want to make sure that we're talking about topics that resonate with you. So if you have any suggestions, send me a message on the grams. There is a fan mail also in the beginning of the show notes that you can send me an email with the suggestions of a topic that you'd like me to cover. Which on the topic of today, it's interesting because I had on my planning a different topic for today. It never works out. Whenever I have a plan for a podcast, the day of something happens and I'm like, I need to talk about this. And today is one of them. So, hi. But it's good because the topic, I speak very passionately about it. So, and what triggered me to talk about today's conversation, which we will be covering, what is the problem with saying that you are going to try to do something? Oh, I'm going to try to eat healthily and all of that. We're going to talk about all of this. So if you are someone who has been saying, I'm trying to eat healthily, I am trying to reduce my snacks, this podcast is for you. Do not go anywhere. Let's talk about what triggered me to make this episode today. I was in my DMs. I love being in my DMs, having conversations with you guys. I'm sure that many of you here have had conversations with me on my social media, my Instagram primarily. So I'm very active because I enjoy it, for one. And two, because I do think it's a way to stay connected with what you need help with. And just today, I got like a bunch of messages and I'm going to read some of them for you and you're going to understand. There are a lot of people that I talk with and then a few months will go by and then I'll reach out to them again and be like, hey, what's up? How is it going? Last time that we spoke, you said that you wanted to lose 20 pounds, just for example. How are things going? Or I spoke with them a few months ago and then they said, oh, no, I'm trying to do this. And then I follow up and I'm like, hey, how is it being? Like, I want to see people succeed. So I want to see how they're doing. And just today, here's what my conversations look like. First one is like, oh, yeah, I'm trying to be mindful of my intake and I'm kind of monitoring my food with this app that I just downloaded. But it's good. I used to train 4 times a week, but now I'm hoping that I can get to the gym at least 6 days a week because I think it's going to be better. I'm hoping that that improves. And then I try to go for a walk on the weekends. It doesn't always work out, but I try. That's conversation one. Other one was, oh, the goal is to keep moving and get moving again and, hope that the fat comes off as I start to move a bit more because I'm in perimenopause and I'm going to try to reduce my snacks too. That's conversation two. And then we have the other conversation. And I was like, so what is it that you're currently doing to try and accomplish your goals? Oh, I'm trying to drink more water and I'm trying to go to the gym 3 times a week. Doesn't always happen, but I've been trying. And I'm hoping that I can eat healthier too. That's another conversation. And by the way, I'm changing a little bit of the things because I don't want to say exactly because I don't feel like getting sued. I don't know if I can get sued for this, but you better believe that I'm not playing. So, but that's basically what the conversations were like most of the day today. And I don't know if you noticed, but there was a pattern of language. It's like, I'm trying to eat healthier. I'm trying to get back on track. I'm trying to drink more water. I'm hoping I can reduce my snacks. I'm trying. I hope. These are phrases that they make you feel productive, but they are actually not doing anything. I like to say that they are mental masturbation words because what happens is that there is a comfort on the idea of like, oh, I'm trying. But what most people don't understand is that they're actually trying to convince themselves that they're making progress by saying that they're trying or getting back on track. But in reality, they're just delaying real action. I did a podcast episode with Yuri. He was the cybersecurity guy. And he said something that he kind of clicked, which I'm going to go on a tangent here. So stay with me. We were talking about social media and he brought up a point that I found that it was so valid. What he was saying is that social media is giving people this reward, this dopamine hit from talking about doing something. Like you talk so much about doing something without actually doing that you get all the dopamine and the praise because you're saying that you're going to do it, that you actually end up not doing the thing because you got all the dopamine hit from just talking about it. And that's the same thing with using the words trying, hoping, all this bullshit. And I've been trying to eat healthier. What does that actually mean? Like, what changed? Are you saying that like you ate absolutely awfully in that, let's say you've been stuck for 2 years trying to get to your goal, that for the past 2 years it's been absolutely god awful and not 1 week out of that past 2 years you did not make any effort or try to improve what you were doing, but then you fell backwards and you went back to your habits. Or, oh, I really need to get back on track. What's stopping you from doing it now, from doing it today? From getting up as you're listening to this and getting your shit together and, I don't know, getting up and doing 10 jumping jacks or 15 walking lunges. What's stopping you from doing it now? What is it that needs to get back on track? Oh, I need to start moving again. What does moving look like? When? How often? Where? What are you doing? What for? So this is a big problem because kind of like I said before, saying it out loud feels like taking action. So it kind of tricks your brain into thinking that progress is happening. And I see this even whenever I get to calls with people and I ask, so what is it that you have been doing to accomplish your goals? And people are like, speaking with you. And I straight away say, and I'm like, no, speaking with me is mental masturbation. It's not action. It's going to be action whenever you sign the agreement and you get to the gym and you start to meal prep and you start to see result. That is action. Speaking with me, it's not action. It's a good step. But if you go and you talk to 55 different coaches, in every single one of them, you're like, oh, I'm like, you're still going to be in the same place by the end of your chat with 50 coaches, or you're probably going to be in a worse place. And the other problem with this as well is that there is no urgency. When people say, oh, I'm trying to get back, I'll get back on track, I'm hoping, it's very open-ended. There is no urgency whatsoever. And the truth of the matter is that it allows for excuses because there is no real commitment. And I see this all the time. And I like to use the analogy. Imagine coming to your boss. Imagine you are senior director or a C-suite executive, and you have people working under you, or maybe you have to report to someone above you. And then you're like, oh, I'm trying to finish this project. Yeah, I'm really hoping that I can get it done. And then that's it. Do you think that that will fly in your work setting? Or do you need specificity? You need deadlines. Okay, what are the steps that you're taking? This is the same thing. You might not necessarily need a absolute deadline, because whenever we're talking about fitness, it's a forever thing. Doing something extreme until that deadline, it's going to make you go backwards. So I like the idea of a date to get the ball rolling. But I'm not sure I love the hard deadline in the fitness setting, because we all know that it is a forever thing. Anybody here who has gone balls to the walls for 4 or 6 weeks and then crashed and burned at the end of it can vouch for it. So just something to keep in mind. The other thing that this language is incredibly problematic is that it's a trap of vague goals with absolutely no strategy. And then people keep on failing because they don't have a plan. They just hope things improve. I don't know about you, but if I hope for my kids to pick up their clothes off the floor before I have a very clear strategy on how that is going to happen and why they should do that, that's not going to happen. So we need to stop with the idea of hoping, because there is no plan associated with it. There is no specific goals. Eating better is not measurable. There is no actual plan, no meal prep, no scheduled workout, no strategy. Oh, I'll work out more. Okay, well, what does more look like? What are the non-negotiables piece of it? There's no tracking. If you don't track, how do you know you're improving? This was someone that we talked with a few months ago. And then we're like, say, how are you doing? I remember last time we spoke, you said that you wanted to lose 12 to 20 pounds. So how are things going? Oh, she's like, oh, it's great. I feel great, but I haven't really measured myself. Right. So how do you know? And listen, I love the idea of feeling great. That's one of the biggest pieces of the puzzle whenever we're talking about fitness. But we need to stop being delusional with just measuring things that are objective with subjective tools. And I have a whole podcast episode about not using feelings only as your data. Because if we were to go by our feelings and to dictate what we do, I don't know, I would wake up probably at 10 a.m., not at 5, not at 4:45. So letting feelings be your measuring stick is going to lead to frustration and likely failure, because you don't have anything specific to track your improvement, to track your progress. And if you don't define success, you can reach it. Saying, I want to be healthier is like saying, I want to make money. But how much more money? What is your strategy? How are you going to get there? And the truth is that fitness and nutrition don't happen accidentally. If you're waiting for motivation to hit, for inspiration, for the stars to align, for you to have endless amounts of willpower, I am afraid I'm going to break some bad news to you. It ain't going to work. because that's not how life works. So, waiting for motivation to get stuff done and hoping that things will improve will not get you to where you want to be. The brain needs clear instruction. If your goals are unclear, they won't happen. And I'm going to go on a tangent here, so stay with me. And what happens is that because you have no clear goals, you have no alignment, you have nothing that you're working objectively towards. So it becomes a lot harder to set very clear boundaries. It becomes a lot harder to be specific on the things that you're going to say yes to and the things that you're going to say no to, because you don't even have clarity on what aligns and doesn't align with your goals because you don't even have a clear goal. So that's what it keeps on leading to more and more frustration. And you keep on overcommitting yourself and saying yes to everything because you're quote unquote trying to lose weight, but you don't even know what that looks like. And I have some examples here. Imagine like saying to someone, I want you to go on vacation. Okay, where? When? What's your budget? What do you want to do? Do you want to go to the beach? Do you want to go to the lake? Do you want to go skiing? Like, what does that look like? Or I want you to start a business. I hear this all the time. I want to be an entrepreneur. And I'm like, right, but what kind? What's the first step? What area are you passionate about? Do you see how like the vague goals can become very problematic? And in fitness, I want you to get in shape. But what does that look like? Because if you ask someone who was a bodybuilding competitor, their idea of being in shape is going to be very different than the idea of being in shape from someone who is always being severely overweight their whole life. The clearer the plan, the more likely it is to happen. So if you're stuck in trying, you need to shift into doing with an actual plan. So here are some things that you can do to help you get out of this ether of goals, which is the trying, hoping, wish. First thing, set clear, measurable goals. Instead of saying, I'm trying to eat healthier, say, I'll have protein in every meal. I'll meal prep every Sunday. I'll have a meal plan done for me. Instead of saying, I want you to work out more, I'll work out Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 a.m. and put that shit on your schedule. I schedule my workouts, been doing this for 27 years. My routine, I joke saying that I'm the easiest person to be kidnapped because my whole day is incredibly predictable because everything is scheduled. So schedule that. And I know that life be lifing and things change, but having at least a baseline of when things will happen will allow you also to objectively look at your schedule and see what are the times that you're able to be more consistent with it and realistically set a plan that works for your life. Another thing that you can do to get out of that wishful thinking to execution is plan like you would for work or your family responsibilities. You don't hope to show up for work. You do. You just know that that's what you have to do. You don't try to take care of your kids. You just do it. Treat your fitness like a non-negotiable appointment because it is. It is a non-negotiable because aside from the aesthetics part, which makes you feel hot as shit, and I'm here for it, there is also a big component of health that and longevity, especially as we age, that we need to talk more about. Next thing that you can do to go from wishful thinking to execution, use objective data to track progress. If you want to lose fat, track your weight, take photos. If you want, measure yourself, like with a tape measurement. That is the only way that you're going to have objective data. The scale alone is not going to tell you the whole story. The pictures alone are not going to tell you the whole story. The tape alone will not take you the whole story. Your feelings will not tell you the whole story. So it needs to be a combined effort of different data points in order for you to be objective about where you are, where you want to go, and how far you've come. If you want to get stronger, track how much you're lifting. If you want to walk more, track your steps. Just saying, I'm going to walk more. How much more? And another thing that I find that is paramount is to create non-negotiables for yourself. And again, that brings back the idea of boundaries. Whenever you don't have any non-negotiables, You just say yes to everything because you don't know what you are saying no to because you have no clear plan or clear strategy. Because the truth is that every yes that you say is a no that you're saying to something else because we have a finite amount of hours in a day. So it is your choice to decide what you're going to do with your time. And if you have no clarity on what you want to fill your hours with because you have not adequately scheduled the things that are necessary for you to take care of yourself, oh, I promise you, that schedule is going to get filled up real quick. So you need to create the non negotiables. I will train at least 3 times a week. That's a non negotiable. I will hit at least 5,000 steps a day. I will go to bed by this time. So you have to create the non negotiables for you because otherwise, you are allowing the environment around you and people around you to create your path for you. And chances are that that path is not going to be towards what your idea of success is. And what we really need to focus here is to change that mindset from trying to doing. The main difference between those who are successful, not just in fitness, but in life, is taking action. Taking action, doing is what differentiates successful people from losers. Oh, I'm going to think about it. I don't know. I'm going to say procrastination is mental masturbation for losers, period. Because it gives you the false sense of action by sitting on, I'm sitting on, I'm deciding. But I promise you, like, for example, let's say if you have been trying to lose fat for a year, what else is it that you need to think about that whatever it is that you're doing is not working? Something needs to change, definitely with a clear path towards success. And the execution also needs to come with honesty with yourself. Are you really doing the things that are required for you to succeed and see results? Or are you convincing yourself that thinking about it is enough? Are you somebody who is always getting back on track? Because that's another thing that we need to focus on. And you need to stop identifying as that person who always needs to get back on track. You need to start seeing yourself as someone who shows up and executes. You need to present yourself as someone who prioritizes their health in themselves. And fitness is just like career success. High achieving women don't hope their career improve. They take action. They network, they go above and beyond to do a good job. They pursue additional education so they can become better and have that additional education to justify or to have that extra bullet in their arsenal to show why they're deserving of a promotion. You don't sit there and just hope. They don't try to make time for work, they make it happen. And that's the mentality that needs to be applied to fitness. And the same, I think, goes for relationships or marriage. You don't kind of like just sit there and hope that your marriage works. It requires work. It requires action. It requires, clear communication. Everybody who is in a relationship that just kind of, I hope it works out. I hope we can communicate properly. Chances are that shit's not going to work. And the thing that I find the most problematic with the messaging of hope and trying is that saying that you hope things will change or you try to be better or you try to do better or my goal is that and I'm hoping that it works out is a weak strategy because it doesn't demand you to take action. It gives you an out. It gives you room for, see, it wasn't meant to be. And it just becomes, again, that mental masturbation that it gives you an out. I'm going to try to go to the gym, but if it doesn't work, see, at least I tried. But did you though? Did you properly schedule that? Or are you just saying it? Are you just saying it, for the people around you to be like, oh, but you tried so hard. Well done. But doing that is still going to keep you overweight. It's going to keep you out of shape. It's still going to keep you miserable. So how is that working out? I hope I can be back on track. So you're waiting for it to magically happen? Like somebody's going to come and move your arms and work out for you? I hope I can stay consistent this time. But if you're doing the same shit, what is different from last time? Oh, this time I'm not vegan anymore. I'm being keto. Same shit, different name. Do you have a strategy that works for your life right now? Because if you're just moving from crappy strategy to crappy strategy, you're going to keep on getting crappy outcomes. So you have to be honest with yourself. Are you really going to be able to stay consistent this time if you're doing literally the same bullshit as last time? Oh, I hope I'll have time to work out this week. You don't hope you'll show up for work. You just do it because you know that that's what you're supposed to do. And the problem with the concept of hope is that it implies a lack of control. If you hope something happens, you're relying on external factors instead of taking responsibility and putting yourself in the driver's seat. It's passive. It removes you from the equation. And the truth is that, we can all sit here and pray that everything works out. And we can pray, but we also need to take action. You need to do something. You cannot just sit here and visualize this amazing future while doing either the same thing or nothing at all. Because successful people, they don't hope, they execute. So we need to replace the idea of hope with action statements. Very specific strategies. Like trying is a built-in excuse. I'm trying to be healthier. Okay, what does that mean? Trying to drink more water. Are you though? What are you actually doing? I find that everyone who starts the conversation with me with I'm trying, I'm hoping, they're doing nothing. And trying leaves room for failure. When you say you're trying, you're not committing. You're leaving the door open for not following through. It makes quitting acceptable. If you don't succeed, you can always say, oh, well, I tried. I tried. Yeah, it's vague. There's no specific plan of action. So there is a mindset shift that needs to happen in order for you to follow through. The difference between people who succeed and those who stay stuck is how they speak to themselves. You don't hope for promotion. You make it happen. You don't try to be a good parent. You show up every day and you do the best that you can with what you have. You don't hope to find the time, to finish a project. You just make the time. I know that a lot of the ladies listening to this podcast are high achievers. You have, a demanding career. You have a lot of irons on the fire. I get it. But the same concepts that you use in your work life, you need to use that for your fitness as well. Treat your fitness like you treat work and family. It's not a hope or try, it's a commitment. Like, I hope I'm a good parent. No, I'm trying every day to be the best parent that I can be. I'm not hoping I'm a good wife. I'm working my butt off to be the best wife I can be for my husband because he deserves it. I'm not trying to be, I'm trying to be a good coach. No, I'm going to do everything that I humanly can to bring the best I can to those who trust us with their bodies, their lives, and their health. Nobody in our team is hoping that things work. We are doing everything that we can to make sure that every single member in our program in the Powerhouse Academy get the outcome because that's how high performers and successful people think. And here's the thing, when you shift your language, your actions follow. Whenever you start to think, oh, but I'm just so lazy. Oh, but I don't know. Like whenever you use wishy-washy language, you get wishy-washy results, period. So let's bring that same strong, powerful mindset that you use in other areas of life, like your career, into your fitness. And if you have reached for help with your career, by going to school or getting a mentor, why is it that you are not implementing that same idea in your fitness? There is no shame in asking for help, asking for support. There's only so much we can do in our own. And that hoping and trying that you figured out, how many years are you going to waste? How many memories are you going to let be tainted by you not feeling your best for many important occasions? How many events are you going to turn down because you don't like how you look in certain clothes? There is no shame. I know that it can feel discouraging because you think that you got it figured out and you're so successful in all areas of your life. But success leaves clues. And you have the clues from your career. And it might be just a matter of knowing how to implement that into your fitness. So I'm going to leave you with a little bit of an exercise here. I want you to catch yourself the next time that you say, I hope, or I'm trying when it comes to your health. Stop yourself and replace it with an action statement. I promise you that your results will change the moment you stop giving yourself an easy way out. So I would love for you to send me a message on Instagram and let me know if you caught yourself, saying, oh, I hope, or I'm trying, and that you were able to correct yourself in the process. And how did that feel? How did that feel for you? I would love to hear from you. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Listen, today's episode, I was on fire. I was very passionate about it because this is something that I talk quite often in my personal life with my friends and to a lot of our members inside the Powerhouse Academy. We've had a lot of discussions around the I hope and I'm trying. I really do not like those two words. And I catch myself sometimes saying it, and I police myself on how I say them to see if it is really fitting or if I'm just trying to avoid taking responsibility for my actions, because ultimately that's what it comes down to. Well, ladies, thank you so much for listening. I hope this episode resonated with you. Make sure you leave your review in the platforms, and I'll see you next week. Adios. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. But let me ask you, what was your aha moment in today's episode? I would love to know. You can leave me a comment at the link in the show description. You can also follow me on social media, Instagram. Links are down below as well. And let me know what topics you want to hear more about or who I should have on the show. This is it for today, guys. I'll see you back next week for another episode of the Unfiltered Fit Life podcast.